if it were true that I was engaged to Lord Peter Bowen. Of course I said no, and that is where we are at present, and you've got to help me out. You got me into the mess." "Might I inquire who Aunt Adelaide is, please, Patricia?" Bowen's humility made him very difficult to talk to. "Aunt Adelaide is my sole surviving relative, via her own statement," said Patricia. "If I had my way, she would be neither surviving nor a relative. But as it happens she is both, and tomorrow afternoon at 5:30 she is coming to Galvin House to receive a full explanation of my conduct." Bowen compressed his lips and wrinkled his forehead, but there was laughter in his eyes. "It's difficult, isn't it, Patricia?" he said. "It's absurd, and please don't call me Patricia." "But we're engaged, and—" "We're nothing of the sort," she said. "But we are," protested Bowen. "I can—" "Never mind what you can do," she retorted. "What am I to tell Aunt Adelaide at 5:30 tomorrow evening?" "Why not tell her the truth?" said Bowen. "Isn't that just like a man?" Patricia addressed the query to a deer that was eyeing the car curiously from some 50 yards distance. "Tell the truth?" she repeated scornfully. "But how much will that help us?" "Well, let's tell a lie," protested Bowen, smiling. And then Patricia did a weak and foolish thing. She laughed, and Bowen laughed. Finally they sat and looked at each other helplessly. "However you got those," she nodded at the ribbons on his breast, "I don't know. It was certainly not for being intelligent." For a minute Bowen did not reply. He was apparently lost in thought. Presently he turned to Patricia. "Look here," he said. "By 5:30 tomorrow afternoon I'll have found a solution. Now can't we talk about something pleasant?" "There's nothing pleasant to talk about when Aunt Adelaide is looming on the horizon. She's about the most unpleasant thing next to chilblains that I know." "I suppose," said Bowen tentatively, "you couldn't solve the difficulty by marrying me by special license?" "Marry you by special license?" cried Patricia in amazement. "Yes, it would put everything right." "I think you must be mad," said Patricia with decision, but conscious that her cheeks were very hot. "I think I must be in love," was Bowen's quiet retort. "Will you?" "Not even to escape Aunt Adelaide's interrogation would I marry you by special or any other license," said Patricia with decision. Bowen turned away, a shadow falling across his face. Then a moment after, drawing his cigarette case from his pocket, he inquired, "Shall we smoke?" Patricia accepted the cigarette he offered her. She watched him as he lighted first hers, then his own. She saw the frown that had settled upon his usually happy face, and noted the staccatoed manner in which he smoked. Then she became conscious that she had been lacking in not only graciousness but common civility. Instinctively she put out her hand and touched his coat sleeve. "Please forgive me. I was rather a beast, wasn't I?" she said. He looked round and smiled, but the smile did not reach his eyes. "Please try and understand," she said. "And now, will you drive me home?" Bowen looked at her for a moment, then, getting out of the car, started the engine, and without a word climbed back to his seat. The journey back was performed in silence. At Galvin House, Gustave, who was on the lookout, threw open the door with a flourish. In saying good night, neither referred to the subject of their conversation. As Patricia entered, the lounge seemed suddenly to empty its contents into the hall. "I hope you enjoyed your ride," said Mr. Bolton. "I hate motoring," said Patricia. Then she walked upstairs with a curt "good night," leaving a group of surprised people speculating as to the cause of her mood, and deeply commiserating with Bowen. Chapter 7